The focus of today's lesson is to go through the steps to find out what happens when you have a total, also known as a subtotal, and we are going to now add some sort of sales tax, some sort of tip, or possibly it's a cost that has a markup in it. Previous lesson we worked on what happens when you have a sale price with a discount and we pull that amount away. Well, today we're going to work on finding the percent of a number, and then we are going to now add that part back on to the original total. So here are our steps that we're going to go through. We're going to find sales tax or tip by changing a percent to a decimal by moving the decimal point 2 places to the left every time, and then we're going to multiply it by the subtotal. Now the second step is the only step different from the previous lesson. Now we will add that amount back onto the subtotal for the final cost. So here's my example. A pair of jeans cost $16.89 with 7% sales tax. What is the final cost? We take 16.89, multiply it by 0.07, and you get a total amount of tax of $1.18. So in the second step, we go back to the original subtotal. We take $16.89 and we add it to the $1.18 tax for a total of $18.07. I'm going to do 3 examples on the board now. The first is I've got a subtotal of $120.63, and there's a 4% sales tax that's going to be added onto it. So the first thing I want to do is turn the whole number 4% into a decimal by putting my decimal point at the end of the number, moving it over twice, and adding my 0 back in. So I know that I am now going to multiply my subtotal of $120.63 times the decimal 0.04. I account for my number of decimal places. Here I have 2. Here I have 2 for a total of 4 that will go back in. And now I multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry my 1. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times 1 is 4. My 4 decimal places go back in, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. My smallest denomination of money is a penny, and that's the hundredths place, so that's the place I want to round to. I'm 5 or above, so that's telling me to round it up. So my amount of tax that's going to get put back on is $4.83. My second step and final step is to add the tax amount back onto the original subtotal. So I take my $120.63 and I add $4.83 to it. Since I'm adding decimals, I line up my decimals, bring down my decimal, and now I add. I have 6, 14, carry my 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, 2, and 1. So my new final total with tax included is $125.46. My second total, imagine that you're at a restaurant and your subtotal for your bill comes to $89.89, but you had really good service, so you're going to tip your waiter or waitress 13%. So what we first want to do is figure out what is 13% of this amount. So I need to change my percentage into a decimal by moving my decimal point 2 places to the left. And now I know that I'm going to multiply my original subtotal of $89.99 times my decimal for 13%, which is 0.13. I've got 2 decimal places here on the first, 2 decimal places here on the second, for a total of 4 places I'm putting back in at the end. Now I multiply. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 is 29. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 2 is 29. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 2 is 26. My first row is complete. I put my 0 down. I've used my 3. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 1, 8 times 1 is 8. 7, 18, 19, 16, and 11. 4 decimal places go back in, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I find my hundredths place, which is my penny. The 8 tells the 9 to go up, so that 69 becomes $11.70 would be my tip. Now, I'm going to add this amount back onto the original subtotal as my final step. 89.99 plus $11.70. My decimals line up. I bring down my decimal and I add 9, 16, 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11, 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So my final bill would be $101.69. Okay. My final example, imagine that a manufacturer produces something and it's a good that costs $40. Well, they're not going to then sell it to a store for $40 to then be sold to a consumer for $40. So along that way, we have something called a markup. And what the markup will be is, depending on a certain percentage, is how much money does each person want to make along the way to make what we call a profit. So my original cost is $40, but I want to mark it up 70%. I want it to be 70% more than the $40 cost. So I go through the same steps. I find what is 70% of $40. I do that by turning my percent into a decimal. So that's 0.70. I'm going to now multiply my $40 times 0.7 or 0.70. I'm going to make it 0.7 just to save a little bit of math. I've got 2 decimal places that will go back in here and 1 there for a total of 3. And now I multiply. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 4 is 28. Put my 3 decimal places back in. 1, 2, 3. And I can see that now I have a markup of $28. So the amount that I'm going to mark this product up is $28. So my final step would be to take my original cost of $40 and add the $28 to it, line up my decimals, bring down my decimals, and add. So that new cost for that product would now be $68. So just to recap, the only difference between the previous lesson where we found a discount or sale price, where we found the percent of a number and subtracted it away, in this lesson we are going to find the percent of a number, whether it's a tax, whether it's a tip, or whether it's a certain amount of markup. And once we find that percent of the number, we add it back onto the original cost.